calls Shane sweetheart. Episode 4 covers chapters 12 through 14 in the book. Just like in episode 2, we're only getting 3 chapters in a single episode, where like episode 1 was chapters 1 through 8. But I really like how Jacob Tierney did this, because we get the tuna melt scene and the club scene in this episode. And I feel like both of those are such like emotional scenes in the book and the show that they really needed their time. And I appreciate that he did that instead of just like trying to like put a bunch of chapters into one episode. I have my notes on everything that happened in the book for chapters 12 through 14 and everything that happened in the episode 4, so that we can talk about like what was the same and what was different in the book versus the show. So I want to start talking about chapter 12, which has some details that we don't see in the show at all. So chapter 12 starts with a time jump that just says like 14 months later. I really actually like how Jacob Tierney does this in the show compared to like how it is in the book, because we just like get that line saying it's a time jump. But in the show, Jacob Tierney opens up episode 4 with like those montage scenes that we've seen in the past. So like we see like Shane doing the ads, Ilya out, you know, like all that different things. So like we kind of get like a sneak peek into what's happening in those 14 months since we last saw them. Where like in the book, it just says like 14 months later and that's that. But then in chapter 12, at this point, it's October 2016, and Ilya is playing in Philadelphia, and he gets called a slur, like a homophobic slur, on the ice. And this is kind of like the first instance in this book that we like actually see like some of the ramifications that could happen if Shane and Ilya come out in general. And then obviously like if they came out together. In this book, it is 2016, so the Scott and Kip kiss on the ice hasn't happened yet, because that happens June 2017. So at this point in the Game Changer Heated Rivalry series lore, there is no out professional hockey players yet. So like that happens, which we don't see that in the show. So we get like some kind of like background in chapter 12. And then we also see like Ilya and Shane kind of like keeping tabs on each other throughout this time, because like they're like watching each other's games, trying to like one up each other on like scoring points and things like that. So like to kind of like see those moments. We get this scene in the book, like we do in the show, when Shane and Hayden go to the aquarium and like they find out they're having another kid. Shane holds the baby, you know, like all that kind of stuff. Hayden tries to set him up and like he has to like dodge that and like not really explain why. We see Ilya watching Shane's cottage special, which we see in the show. At this point, like Svetlana isn't there, like we see in the show, because in the books, remember, like Svetlana and Ilya like aren't friends like that. So like that part is a little bit different. And then chapter 13 opens up on Shane and Hayden in the hotel room. And it happens a little different than we see it in the show, because in the book, Svetlana and Hayden don't know about like Jane and Lily. Like they're not like seeing in each other's phones like how they do in the show. But Hayden like does insinuate like, oh, Shane, where are you going? Like seeing someone in Boston again. What's different in the book for the tuna melt scene? Well, there's actually a lot of differences in the book for the tuna melt scene than in the show. But in the book, this is not Shane's first time at Ilya's home. They've actually been going to Ilya's home for a year at this point, like meeting up there. And mind you, in the book, they've never been to Shane's home before. Ilya has been to like that building that Shane bought. If you've watched my first or second video talking about episodes 1 or 2, Shane does not want Ilya coming to his home. Like, it's too vulnerable for him. So he like buys a building for him to be with Ilya at. And so at this point, when Shane is going over to Ilya's house, he's like, I need to end this. Because like Shane's not even letting this man in his home because he's like, I need to end this. This is a bad idea. I don't want him like encroaching in like my real life. Like, I don't want anyone like accidentally seeing him like come to my home, like all this. Like, Shane is so incredibly guarded in the books. And like every single time he meets with Ilya, he's like, I need to end this. This needs to be over. So when Shane goes to Ilya's home for like the tuna melt scene, he's already thinking like, this is the last time I need to tell him no. So like he's already, like his walls are up already to begin with. Then of course, Shane folds like always when he's like actually there. But there's things that happen in the book, in the tuna melt scene, that are like so sweet and emotional, which I feel like gives us more insight into why Shane freaks out that we don't see in the show. Obviously in the book too, Rachel Reed, the author, writes like their internal thinking. So we know like exactly what Shane is thinking throughout the entire tuna melt scene, because it's told from Shane's point of view. And we don't really see Ilya's point of view. Like, you know how Ilya like goes to take like the phone call for his dad in Russia, and like we see that. We don't see that in the book because it's from Shane's point of view. So here are some things that we see from Shane's point of view in the tuna melt scene that I think even more cause him to freak out and leave after everything. Okay, so when they first get there, and we have the cowboy Shane. That was actually Ilya's idea, because Ilya says, I'd like to look at you tonight, I think. So we have like Ilya, who is letting Shane in his home and has been for over a year, wants a more like emotional connection. Ilya's like really like taking these steps to making it be more lovey-dovey relationship. Mind you, Shane has never even let this man to his house. Shane is like so guarded, walls up. So Ilya says, I'd like to look at you tonight, I think. During that scene, Ilya's holding Shane's hands. Like, oh my God. Ilya and Shane holding hands. Like, how emotional. And of course it's Ilya making the moves. And then Ilya also says, yes, sweetheart, to Shane during this, like a pet name. Ilya is so lover boy in the book, and Shane is so freaking out all the time in the book. So we're getting like a lot of like charged emotion coming from Ilya to Shane, and Shane is internally freaking out because he came over to Ilya's house with the intent on breaking things off. And now Ilya is doing like all of this sweet lovey-dovey boyfriend stuff. This is what Shane thought after all of that. Ilya's look was too tender. He kissed him too adoringly. Like, Shane is realizing that this is going into the territory of like real feelings. Like, Ilya is having real feelings for Shane, and like obviously Shane is feeling that too, and that's what's causing him to freak out, because he keeps putting these walls up and like Ilya keeps blasting through them. Then we have the whole tuna melt scene. Ilya has the ginger ale, he makes him the tuna melt. They talk about Ryan Price. They talk about girls. Shane realizes that he doesn't really like being with girls. And he even has the thought, no one makes me feel like Ilya Rozanov does. Then we have this scene when they say their first names, Shane, Ilya, and because of the sweetheart, the holding hand, I'd like to look at you tonight, Shane's realization that no one makes me feel the way Ilya Rozanov does, all of that stuff compounded makes Shane dip. So I like that we got that extra insight. Because we do not get that in the show, which I think makes the viewer be like, oh my God, why did Shane freak out? Why did he leave? Like, they just said each other's first names. It's like not really that big. It was like a lot more compounding things in the book. And then like, obviously in the book, Shane was way more guarded than he is in the show. Shane has not even ever let this man come to his house. So that is chapter 13. And then chapter 14, which is the last chapter in this episode, is when Shane and Rose meet, and Shane thinks to himself like, oh my gosh, I do like a girl. I do like a girl. Because Shane has been desperately wanting two things in this book. He's desperately been wanting to like someone that's not Ilya Rozanov, and he's been desperately wanting to like a girl because his life would be so much easier if both of those things could happen. And so he meets Rose Landry and he thinks, oh my God, finally I like a girl. Like, I can make this happen. Then obviously Ilya finds out about Rose and Shane and like all the paparazzi stuff. This is like two little tidbits from the book that we don't see in the show. So obviously at this point, Shane and Rose are together, but Shane and Ilya knows, and Ilya and Shane are still so obsessed with each other. So even when Shane is with Rose, Shane is Google image searching Ilya to see if Ilya is spotted by paparazzi with anyone else. Shane, you have a girlfriend. Why are you image searching Ilya Rozanov to see if he is with anyone else? You are dating Rose Landry. So we have that. Then, of course, Ilya is with other people because he is trying to get over Shane. But he is not with any guys because he feels like he can't betray Shane like that, even though Shane has a girlfriend. So Ilya is only with girls, and the girls that he is picking, he purposely seeks someone out that has dark hair and freckles. Because we know Ilya Rozanov is obsessed with Shane's freckles. So this entire time Shane is dating Rose Landry, Shane is just actively trying to find out information about Ilya, and Ilya is like actively trying to like basically just be with Shane. These boys are a mess. They need to communicate. Then we have the club scene. It happens a little different in the book than it does in the show, but like the premise is the same. So Shane is going to dance with Rose. We actually get told in the book that Shane is checking out Miles, too. So like, you know how Miles is dancing up on Shane in the show and everyone's like, what? Why? Well, in the book, he like is checking out Miles, and Miles like is kind of like, why is Shane Hollander looking at me like that? Ilya spots Shane and then dances with the girl. Shane sees Ilya, and then in the book, they actually say like Shane feels sick to his stomach. Like seeing Ilya with a girl, he's sick. And then they both go home alone. So I know that that's not how it ends in episode 4, but when Shane sees Ilya, like he runs out of the building. He's like, I can't do this. So like a little bit of a different end in the book than the show, but still ending with the devastating club scene. We're all thinking, oh my God, Shane and Ilya, you love each other. Please just communicate.